Be very quiet.
What do we hear? Do we have any news about Genesis? Let's listen. What does Wildcard have to say about the release date? What's the date? Why can't you give us a date? And Cedric responded with, it's less important that we get Genesis out by X date. But when we give X date, we hit it and it stands. I think that's what you'd like as well. They are tightening the screws. No worries.
Oh,
So yeah, that's not much information other than they're tightening the screws. So we're at the final step, right? It's the final piece of the puzzle that brings Genesis out. And, you know, to try to stay positive, all I can do is hope that it's going to be kind of similar to the way that they handled Scorched Earth. I mean, Scorched Earth was an accident. They didn't do it again because they didn't need the money the way they did when they released Scorched Earth. If you've been around since the beginning, you'll know that when Scorched Earth came out, we didn't actually know it was coming. We got the center, and then right after that, we got Scorched Earth, and they needed money. So that was basically why it was like, ta-da! Here is your new DLC, and everybody was super excited and stoked, and it was a very good quality map. Since then, Aberration was a good quality map. I'm not saying Extinction was great. There were great things in Extinction, but the map itself, I felt was rushed. And then, of course, as you guys know, there was a lot of problems when it came out. So what I'm hoping for is they are trying to be different, trying to give us something that we can actually rely on. Like, hey, we're going to bring it out the January 30th. I'm just throwing out, ideas, and they actually meet their goal. Now, we do know one fact, and the fact of the matter is they are going to have accessible servers after January 28th, because they are taking down the legacy PvP servers. So we do have an idea of a date that might resonate to the release of Genesis. Again, my guess is as good as yours, and I would love to hear your thoughts and opinions in the comments. But what we know for sure, okay, I'd like to give you just the facts. What we know for sure is this post right here, and that's all I've got. That's why I wanted to give it to you first. With Genesis, it shows here, right here, as much as you want Genesis, we want you to have a good experience with it. These next two DLCs are pretty significant to the team and Jesse and Jeremy. Of course, this is their baby. I don't know if people realize how much they love Ark. It's their baby. Again, confirmation that this is their baby. They want to do better. And all I can do is hope and try to stay optimistic and positive that they are going to do something better with this release. They've made a lot of mistakes in the past, but things are going to get better in time. At least that's my optimistic hope. And as we jump into the community crunch, you'll see some of the progress that they've made that might be kind of reassuring. But overall, guys, this is just the facts. Tell me what you guys think, what you feel, what you're going through. Your voices matter, and I want you to be able to express yourself freely. So let me know how you're feeling about this right here. So this community crunch is basically a recap of every single thing that they've been doing over the last couple of months. And a lot of this stuff you have already seen. So I do not want to waste your time going through each thing and reading it to you. What I am going to do out of respect to you is leave it on the screen in case you did not see something. You will be able to pause the video and see it. But we're going to talk about some of the major stuff going on here and really getting into this conversation about is, this changing the future for Ark? Is Ark going to be, a phenomenal game at some point going forward? Are they going to be able to fix their game to a point that makes it completely playable on all platforms without the fear of a lot of these exploits still continuing? So let's go through it. So as you can see here, they have focused a lot on performance, bugs, balance, quality of life, and fixing the exploits that they keep saying that are basically stopping a lot of the meshing and cheating that's going on official servers. So as you can see here, we've got performance issues that they worked on. And honestly, they really have made a significant difference on a lot of the servers with performance. And to be honest, I was actually amazed when I went into official after, taking my little hiatus. I went into official because it was kind of like a retraining, and I got my butt kicked. I will be the first one to admit that, but it was a great experience because I noticed that at least on the servers I was on, that there was some performance improvements. Now, to keep in mind, That is not everybody, and that is definitely not all the servers. I have seen some of the stuff you guys send to me constantly, telling me, you know, and showing me some of the performance issues that you're dealing with. So what that tells me is, yes, Wildcard still has a lot of work going forward, but as you can see here, they're really trying to make a difference. And we talked about these unintended mechanics and exploits in the last video. So again, just trying to, you know, be respectful to your time. I'm not going to reread this to you, but I'm going to leave it on the screen so you can see it in case you did miss that in the last video, or if you watched anyone else's videos talking about it, maybe you didn't see it. So I just want to make sure that it's there for you. But these are pretty significant exploits that have been worked on. But as I mentioned in the last video, I am noticing a couple that you guys have told me about that are not in there. So clearly they still have a lot of work to do. This is definitely not a cure-all, but it's addressing the exploits that will make a difference. They really will. I mean, I don't know which two of the exploits related to creatures and structures they fixed. Some of them were very significant, but it looks like, you know, it's a step in the right direction at this point. I mean, guys, what can we do? We can complain, or we can give them a chance to like fix it, give them a chance to, you know, we can be supportive so that they have the opportunity and the backing to try to fix it. So yeah, these bug fixes are definitely very beneficial. I mean, some of this stuff has been plaguing servers for a while. Some of this stuff is not going to make much of a difference. They caught it, they fixed it, that's great. But if you play Ark pretty much every day, you tend to notice a lot of the bugs, and I'm seeing a lot of things that are not in this list, but hopefully are in their list on their side of things that still need to be worked on. It sounds like they're taking it a lot more serious, and I think when Ark first came out, I think there was a lot of inexperience because they've made mistakes. And when I took those classes on coding for gaming, I realized, and you know, it's something that me and Beast talk about quite often, how they overlap coding. And that is an inexperienced type thing. That's somebody who's self-taught, who doesn't follow the fundamentals that you're taught in college, which is not bad. It just means you didn't learn it from the beginning, so you didn't implement it in the beginning. So what I'm seeing is the foundation of this game is not in the best condition. Of course, there's a lot of cracks in it. And how do you fix that? You keep filling it, trying to like, you know, make it go away, filling in all these little holes. But overall, you'll never fix it completely because you would have to scrap it and start over from scratch and build your foundation properly from the ground up. And that's not going to happen. They're just not going to do that. So for me personally, the quality of life update has been so significant. There were some really amazing changes to this list. And if you have experienced it, let me know in the comments. I was very happy to see a lot of these changes. They've needed to happen for a while, and it definitely helped. Some of these specifically helped with PvP, the PvP side of this a lot. Now, it doesn't always affect the PvE side or vice versa. Sometimes they make these changes because of PvP, and it directly impacts PvE in a negative way. So I would love to hear your perspective. You know, the different player bases, they really do open up a great dialogue for everyone, because what you experience on the PvE side is going to be different than what you experience on the PvP side. And there's definitely some major steps forward with the game balance, and it looks like they focused a lot on the Managarmr and the Volanosaur, which is very important because as you can see here, they even are saying their statistics show that they're still two of the most popular creatures, which is actually, I agree, interesting that those two would be the most popular even with all of the changes that they've made. Out of all of these, which ones do you feel like were the most impactful of the game balancing changes that they've made? And then as you see here, there's some more positivity because it looks like other balance changes include some steps toward addressing the cliff platform meta and the Brontos getting some love. We also have smacking Plant Z a little and tweaking enforces up after some functional changes we made in order to mitigate a meshing exploit left them looking a little sad. Absolutely. So these are very positive. Clearly, they're taking these steps forward. And what I appreciate the most about this post in and of itself is the fact that they are showing us kind of what they're working on going forward. And that makes a huge difference for all of us because we can see progress. And when you sit there and you're like, okay, they're clearly looking at these items coming up. So what does that mean for everything else in the game? At least in a logical sense and, you know, an optimistic sense, that looks very reassuring. But overall, of course, a lot of us are still dealing with a lot of the problems in the game. So it tends to taint all the progress that they make because we're currently still going through a lot of unnecessary things in this game. And if that's how you're feeling, I totally understand and I totally respect that because it's true. It's absolutely true. But at least we have this, you know, to be excited about that they are working on it. 365,085 player deaths from a well-known culprit. that is a painful number. Like, that is a very high number. But what that is reassuring for me is the fact that they have a specific number. So that does kind of prove they really are running reports in the background. If you work in a business sense, you know you can't get specific numbers unless you're running reports. So that is at least reassuring. It's painful in the sense that, you know, like, my goodness, how could you let this happen? But, you know, as you see throughout this Community Crunch recap, they are trying to fix it. And I do appreciate the fact that they have events for us, because I mean, for a while they weren't really doing events. People were feeling very neglected, very ignored, like they didn't care about us anymore. So even if some of you are feeling like, well, the events aren't that great, you know, maybe the chibis aren't that, you know, cool to you, but at least they're trying to do something for us. And I'll take that over the way they were treating us before, you know, like we were just nothing to them and they didn't want to even be bothered because they just got sick of dealing with the backlash. So that going forward, at least for me personally, seems reassuring. But what do you guys think? Did you enjoy the events? Do you enjoy the fact that they're still doing events and they're being more consistent with their events? You know, your feedback really means a lot to me. So whatever you're going through or whatever you're feeling, please let me know in the comments below. And the weekly Evolution event is going to start on Friday the 17th of January at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time until Monday the 20th of January at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where all official servers across each platform will be 2 times harvesting, 2 times taming, and 2 times experience rates. So definitely, guys, let me know what you think in the comments. Do you feel like this Community Crunch was good? Did you feel it was good quality? I feel like this recap was just basically something as a filler to appease us until the release of Genesis. I do appreciate the fact they're not giving us a release date for Genesis because I don't want to go through the letdown again. We've gone through it countless times at this point. So I appreciate the fact they're not doing that, but at the same time, that's a concern for the majority of us. They're going, wow, is this thing going to get delayed? Are we not going to get it in January? And again, I'm still holding on to that January 28th date. At least that's my hope. I'm really hoping by the 30th, 31st of this month, we really do get Genesis. And I really, really hope that it's quality, that they have taken all of these changes, implemented them already in Genesis, and it's going to be fixed. But like a lot of people have been saying to me recently, what kind of problems are going to happen once Genesis is actually released? And with the fact that I know that there's coding overlaps is the best way I can explain it, there might be problems on the other maps if they didn't fix that for Genesis. So all I can do is hope that that is not the case. But again, you guys, your voices matter to me. Please let me know what you're feeling in the comments below. I really appreciate you watching, guys. You guys make this possible, and I just truly cherish these moments of being able to share this with you. I love making these videos, and I love sharing this time with you. So, love you guys, and until next time, you know what it is. Keep surviving.